Okay, now we come to the final step of coffee, which is very simple and obvious, the brewing part. Here, you want to give some final touch for the taste. And you have in coffee a lot of chemical compositions. This includes the amount of caffeine and acidity, which we'll talk about in a moment. By removing caffeine from the coffee, coffee becomes less stimulating. Lower level of caffeine. However, the die-hard coffee drinker doesn't like it. Why? It doesn't function enough as a drug for them, because they want that drug feeling. Okay? And which brings us to the next theme, which is coffee and addiction. Coffee is addictive. There's no question. We are talking about this, the main subject today, right? It's an addiction. Coffee is an addiction. All right. Now let me make a statement what I consider an addiction. Addiction is a dependency on a substance, a process, or a person. Addiction is a dependency on a substance, a process, or a person. The compulsion involved to follow the addiction is stronger than your own free will to say no. Again, addiction is a dependency on substance, process, or a person. The compulsion to follow the addiction is stronger than your own free will to say no. That's what an addiction is. Now, we don't have only addiction when we talk about heavy drugs, cocaine, phenyl, whatever you may have, crack. Yes, these are strong addictions. And when we talk about drugs, we typically think about these. But when we talk about drugs, hardly ever we talk about coffee or sweets. You can have an addiction to sweets. I saw people have addiction to milk, and a guy who died of it. The problem is with addiction, once started, you need more and more of it, and you need permanently, constantly, the product or the situation to attain a satisfaction. And you're on it. You're on it all the time. And I call it craving for the wrong. Addiction is always a craving for something which is bad for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an addiction. The wrong thing. Smoking, drugs, orange juice. I tested people. Everybody I test cannot digest orange juice. Orange juice is, on my scale, when I do kinesiology tests on people, bad for people. Of course, there's the advertising, the promotion, orange juice is healthy. Because it has vitamin C or whatever, It doesn't matter. If cocaine has vitamin C, that doesn't make cocaine better because it has some vitamin C in it. So, craving for the wrong. You have a craving for something which destroys you. Have you ever experienced a person who says, I need my salad. I have a craving for salad. I need salad to make my life complete. No, because salad is just too healthy. Everything where we have a craving for is something which is unhealthy. Which brings us to the next topic, which is caffeineism. Meanwhile, we talk about somebody who has an addiction for caffeine. Not only through drinking coffee. You have caffeine in black tea, in Coca-Cola, in most similar drinks, in the most sport drinks, energy drinks, Red Bull, etc., you have caffeine all the time. And caffeine is all around. And yes, we talk about coffee addict. My experience was that I noted that people who drink a lot of coffee and who are coffee addicted were typically smokers as well, and vice versa. People who are heavy smokers love to have coffee. Because coffee is a psychoactive substance, like a good mood stuff, getting high. So coffee, the intoxication, causes, among others, many, many things. Mental disorder, many physical health symptoms, which we'll go through in a moment, just to name a few. Coffee raises the blood sugar level for a short time. Once the blood sugar is used up, it follows an increased release of insulin. Consequently, the hunger cravings come right away for more coffee, cake, and sweets. So it's a vicious circle which has started. Mental disorders, tremors and jitterness, inner restlessness, palpitation, cardiac problems, increased heart rate, sweating, restlessness. All this comes along with coffee addiction. A rapid build-up excitement, mental changes very rapidly, depressive behavior. All this is known and connected to caffeine. Dehydration, nervousness, dizziness, upset stomach, bitterness, sudden exhaustion, even so far as suicidal thoughts. Conclusion? I just gave you a few, there are many of them. Anything is possible when you drink coffee. Any kind of reactions, mental and physical reactions, which is out of control. Coffee has as well an impact on eating habits. We know that we have a roller coaster appetite is reported. A roller coaster appetite, up and down. I eat now, I don't like to eat, I don't like to eat, I'm not hungry, yes, I'm hungry. It goes all over. And everybody into coffee has generally a draw for cakes, sweets, soda pops, a sweet tooth, craving at nighttime. It's all there. Hardly any doctor talks about it. They're no surprise because most doctors are victims of coffee addictions themselves. And even doctors say, oh, okay, you can drink 1 to 2 cups a day. That's no problem. That's healthy. Even supposedly scientifically proven that coffee is healthy, I don't buy it. And of course, it's supported by media and by the advertising of the coffee makers. Sure enough, sure enough. Which brings me to the next major point about coffee. You can't talk about coffee without talking about pH. I have done several shows on pH. pH is a big problem. We should live on a level of pH of 7 to 8. Here is a pH scale as a refresher, which shows you 7 is in the central. For me, it's 7.5, okay? And everything below 7 is acidic. Everything above is alkaline. Now, if you drink, for example, a water which has 7.5, that's a pH which we want. That's neutral, that's very good. Everything between 7 and 8, let's say. Now, when you drink water which is 7.5, and now you drink water which is 6.5, there's just one number, right? But it's a logarithmic scale, which means the 6.5 water is 10 times too acidic. The 5.5 water is 100 times too acidic. The 4.5 water is 1,000 times too acidic. and so on, and so on, and so on. Well, we'll see in a minute where coffee is, based on what I found. So that's the acidity level, and you should look into this. And when you look at my shows, which I will point out to you, you can then find more information about acidic and pH. There is a list I did of pH in drinks where I analyzed typical drinks. How bad is their pH? This list, of course, you cannot read properly here, but on my website, if you go on my website, you can download this list. And then you can study it quietly at home. Why is pH acidity such a theme? We know that certain illnesses, among cancer, thrive on acidity in your body. And we're all fighting because we live all too acidic. When you look at this drink list I made there, you understand. Plus, we eat too much meat, which is acidic. So we are all too acidic, and this causes a lot of stress to your body, which I will talk about in another show. So what I did is I went to Starbucks in preparation of this show today. I don't want to dash Starbucks. I don't want to badmouth them. I just take that Starbucks represents very much the coffee market. So I went there and I bought various drinks, and then I tested them to see how acidic they are. So mocha, for example, it's 5.9, means 100 times too acidic. Cappuccino, 5.8, 100 times too acidic. Cafe latte, 5.8, 100 times too acidic. Dark roasted, 5.6, 100 times too acidic. What they called cold brew, 4.7, 1,000 times too acidic. Medium roast, 4.4, 1,000 times too acidic. Blonde roast, 4.2, 1,000 times too acidic. So all these coffees have a range from 100 to 1,000 times too acidic. People, this is serious stuff. You may not realize this. This is serious stuff. Nobody really talks about it, do they? They meanwhile say how many calories a food has when you go into a restaurant, but nobody gives you the pH of the drinks you order. So my conclusion is, from the point of view of pH, only from the point of view of pH, coffee is already very, very, very harmful for the body. No question. As I was in Starbucks, they were advertising a new drink. And it's a cold, supposedly refreshing kind of tea drink. And I said, okay. I bought one as well. And I said, okay, let me check that drink. Now, fasten your seatbelts. I would have never expected that. Never, ever. Never, ever. This mango fruit had a pH of 1.9. Everybody who understands a bit pH, this is a devastating result, 1.9. This is somewhere between 100,000 and 1 million-fold too acidic. You got to digest that number. Between 100,000 and 1 million-fold too acidic. Imagine that. It is out of the range of imagination. It comes close to acidity of a battery, car battery, and it's even a bit worse than Coca-Cola, which is 2.3, according to my testing. So, if you want to learn more about pH, I cannot go into details. Please visit my website, and I have in the archive of my webinars all my shows I'm doing after the live event webinar come on my website in the archive and you can watch all previous webinars. And there's a webinar all about water, part 1 and part 2. I highly recommend you to watch those. And I speak in those shows as well, more intense, more deeply about pH. All right. The next headline for me in my presentation is coffee, the pick-me-up. Coffee, the pick-me-up. Well, you heard over and over again, and maybe you're a person yourself, a coffee drinker, who says that. The first thing in the morning is, I need a coffee. Otherwise I cannot get up. I cannot get going. I need a coffee first. The sooner you are tired again and the sooner you need a break again, the more constantly and often you have to drink caffeine to wake up or stay awake. The more you are already on a descent, the more you are an addicted person. No question. These substances very quickly enlarge the diameter of the blood vessels and airways. Thus, caffeine initially lowers blood pressure and the respiratory rate, which many people find calming. That's true. It does that for now, for the very moment. But then it goes reverse the other way around. And the blood pressure increases. So that's the morning problem, right? A lot of people have that. But then after the blood vessel expanded, they constrict again, and the consequence is that the blood pressure rises. After more than 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the brain is pushed to high voltage. That way the coffee worked before positively for you, all of a sudden it reverses. So if you drink coffee before you go to bed, you may say, okay, it's calming. Yes, that's true, for about 20 minutes. But if you don't go to bed and fall asleep within 20 minutes, you're in trouble, because now the blood pressure goes up. Coffee stays in your body, caffeine stays in your body for about 20 hours, being active, doing its job, its bad job in your body. And then it just comes down again, the level. However, most of the people, it never comes down. Because before the 20 hours are over, long before the 20 hours are over, you drank again coffee and again coffee and again coffee. So your body never gets to rest. Your body's under permanent stress, chronic stress. It's an endless loop of caffeine. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at all, unfortunately. And of course, the advertising and the promotion always push the issue. So many people claim and also believe in it that first thing they need when they get up in the morning is a strong coffee. The really wake up and get going call. And all these sentences, I heard them all over again. I need coffee first thing, give me coffee, otherwise I don't function. So in reality, the truth is, their body are already struggling to survive at this time in the morning. They're already half dead. They cannot work the bare minimum without coffee. And then they try to get coffee to cheer up and get going. It's an artificial situation which they can never get rid of. So that coffee helps you to think better, to work harder, is under a artificial situation, because coffee makes you sick. There's no other way around. Coffee will make you sick. Here's an overview what coffee does to you. You can read down the scale. These are the consequences of drinking coffee. Coffee pushes the production of adrenaline, which has these fatal consequences already explained. So what happens is, the tiger doesn't attack you. The tiger doesn't attack you, which was the original consequence, that the adrenaline would be released big time into your body. The coffee does the same thing what the tiger did. The coffee now pushes the adrenaline glands to deliver all this big volume of adrenaline. The same thing the tiger did. But there's no tiger. The times with tigers are over. They're gone. But this system in our body still exists. So when you get under stress, adrenaline is produced, but it's not fear of death, but it works the same way. Chronic stress does the same thing the tiger did. It pushes your adrenaline level. Coffee does the same thing. It pushes the adrenaline level and gives the illusion to the body, I'm in a danger zone. I got to run or fight. I'm endangered. I got to do something, right? And that's the perversion of the situation. The organs and the body functions are simply overwhelmed and exhausted by this long-term stress of caffeine. And people don't realize this. And most doctors, when they treat patients, don't realize it. The coffee mimics stress. If you have chronic stress, adrenaline is produced. Okay. If you drink coffee, the coffee mimics that stress and pushes the adrenaline. And we talked to her early on about it, that then, in consequence, a lot of body functions are reduced, and the body doesn't work as well as it used to do before the coffee. And now what? You are working with a body which everything in the body should work 100% to do their business. But it doesn't happen. Your liver doesn't work 100%. Your digestive system doesn't work 100%. All these things don't work 100% because of the stress. They're reduced. The body says, we don't need you. We're in a fight and flight mode. And the fight and flight mode cuts this all off. That's all thank you to caffeine. And of course, the coffee industry promotes drinking coffee by all means, of course. Of course they do this. That's how they make their money. You get it? You can follow me? To my definition, 99% of all products which go through your mouth, which are advertised, you have commercials of products, all products, 99% which go through your mouth, are addictive, unhealthy, and bad products. Why do they advertise these products? Very simple. Because they know once you started with Coke, you're going to be a customer for the rest of your life. So what goes typically through your mouth that is unhealthy? Alcohol, cigarettes, sweets, pharmaceutical products, energy drinks, fast food, coffee. All these represent the vast majority of advertising and which go through your mouth. These are garbage products, guys. Let's face it. My definition, they're garbage products, and the industry knows why they're promoting it. They're not wasting their money. For every $10 they spent on advertising, they get $100 back. Have you ever seen a commercial with fresh garden salad? Oh, this morning, please, after you wake up, eat a fresh garden salad. It's so good for you. Funny, right? They know what they advertise. They always know what they advertise. You want to fly like an eagle? Well, there are drinks which tell you that you can do so. Very, very dangerous. But the society is built on that. It works on that. It works on the illusion I can drink and eat anything, it doesn't matter. It's all good. So the big problem question is, when does somebody typically start to be dependent on caffeine? What do you think? When do you start to be depending on caffeine? Well, I tell you, as early as being a child, through soda pops like Coca-Cola and others, energy drinks like Red Bull. These are drinks young generation kids already start to drink all the time. And in these drinks is caffeine. These are already a part of the daily routine for young children. And these young children are already programmed as caffeine junkies, right there. You put it right into them. They're caffeine junkies. You don't want to see it, you don't think about it, but that's what it is. Then later, the step over to coffee is very easy, very little, because coffee gives them more caffeine usually. So they're prepared to be a coffee consumer. Or should I say, a coffee victim? They will be a coffee victim for the rest of their lives. Guaranteed income. So as a consumer, you spend thousands and thousands every year on caffeinated beverages. And you're hooked. You're addicted. You're addicted like a normal drug addicted for the rest of your life. The difference is the cost and toxic intensity. So if you take cocaine and crack, it's more expensive than coffee. Right, I agree. And cocaine is more toxic than coffee. I agree. But the dependency on the product, the way it works, is the exact same. You have a dependency on the product like the cocaine guy. That coffee, in fact, is not legally banned does not make it healthy or better. It's just not banned, that's all. The long-term consequences of drinking caffeine, you have no natural energy which is activated in your body. You depend on this artificial poisoning push of energy, which has a consequence of more diseases, more suffering, and most likely a shortened life. And caffeine is especially, I must say so, harmful to pregnant women and the unborn. It's crazy. Does a pregnant woman who takes drugs, smokes cigarettes, drinks alcohol, and coffee truly love the child, the unborn child, even if she doesn't drink alcohol, if she doesn't smoke, the coffee itself is plenty to prepare an unborn child to be an addicted person. And we are wondering why more and more children in this world become tough cases. And being a tough case ends you up being like this. We are at the point where we already barely function if we don't drink caffeine. And then when we drink caffeine, it goes on the roller coaster with waves of jittery energy on the top, shortly followed by exhausting crashes downwards. And of course, when we're down, we need another shot of coffee to get out of this. No matter how much you drink, it never seems to be enough. You need always again to replenish the body with caffeine. And only then a lot of people function somehow. Because of drinking permanently caffeine, the body has a certain tolerance and a need where a certain level of caffeine, let's say 1 cup a day, is just not enough. That means you got to drink more to get more normal. Caffeine is not a substitute for natural energy. Our body needs energy. And the energy sources should be healthy food, healthy water, vitamins, minerals, sunlight. These are all sources of healthy energy. The healthy energy can only come from nature and your spirit. From where else? From plastic? From poison? No, sorry, that doesn't work. You may think it works, if you think about it at all. Why is humanity dying out? For me, humanity is the most endangered species on this planet. Humanity is the most endangered species on this planet. Because the current situation and the future of humanity is decided by madmen, irresponsibility, unqualified people, people who are greedy for power and money. These are the people who decide what's happening on this planet. Not sane people. The world is not governed by ethics for the greater goods for people. This also includes the many industries which are involved, the media, and doctors. We are the most endangered species. There are too many unqualified doctors. In various presentations in the past, and I repeat it here, it cannot be repeated enough, I tell, frankly, clearly, I say what I think about doctors. I'll find 95% of all the doctors are unqualified, a disgrace. 3% are okay, are good, okay. And 2% are top tier. 2% are absolutely great. And I had the privilege that I met a lot of these 2%ers and 3%ers. And I keep looking for them. I talk to them, I exchange ideas. Some listen to me, some teach me, some accept that I have something to offer to teach. So these 2% are the real deal. And by chance, well, I'm actually coming up in my webinars. Yeah, look at my webinar on my website, upcoming The Good and Not So Good Doctor, where I'll talk about doctors, okay? The other day, there was a group of alternative doctors. They form a group which works together, and they heard about me and my technology, and they wanted to know more about it, and they called me. And we had a phone conference, a Skype conference, and I, at the beginning, said, guys, I don't want to mislead you. Here's my clear opinion about doctors. And I showed them this graph you just seen, and they were laughing their butts off. And apparently I didn't piss them off. So they said, look, we're completely with you. We call doctors They said that, not me. They said, who are doctors, we call doctors highly educated idiots. End of quote. We call them, quote, highly educated idiots. Now, with coffee and caffeine, I've seen and heard releases and statements from professional, oftentimes doctors, about the health of coffee. They say how healthy coffee is. They say, now imagine that, coffee reduces stress. There's no sentence more perverted for me. It's my humble opinion, okay? My humble opinion. There's no sentence more perverted than the sentence, coffee reduces stress. And life is healthier with coffee. These are quotes I found. Life is healthier with coffee. Jesus. I wouldn't know at times, should I laugh or should I cry about so much stupidity? And sometimes I have the feeling that they may be paid by the industry. I don't know. Why would they do this voluntarily? Some doctors say and claim, some people claim there are positive effects on coffee. All right. Whatever scientists, doctors, and the coffee industry promotes as possible benefits of drinking coffee is, in the face of my personal opinion, for me and my research, absolutely irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. If cocaine has vitamin C, that doesn't make cocaine better. There may be some effects here and there, what they do, which is nice, but the big thread, the creation of chronic stress, the pH, and whatever I explained to you along now, is the primarily reason and the addiction, after all. So sometimes what they say sounds to me like a paid advertising. All right. Now, talking about coffee, automatically there comes up the question, the theme, the word tea. So what about tea? When we talk coffee, the topic of tea is not very far. Now, tea, most of the teas have caffeine. Black, green, white tea, black, green, white tea also have caffeine, but much less than coffee caffeine. It's usually not as strong as coffee caffeine and builds up slower, breaks down faster, and is not as health challenging. And there's this myth of green tea, which one day we should do a show about. I have tested a lot of green teas. Basically, all green teas in bags are junk. Only a very few green teas are really good and do what they should do and what they're supposed to do. We'll talk about this some other show, because tea is definitely a theme on its own. Now, the alternative to coffee are herbal teas. For the diehard coffee drinker, that's a joke. I don't drink a herbal tea. Well, fine, then don't do it. And a coffee called lupine coffee. Lupine coffee seems to be a way to get out of coffee as a substitution, which is maybe worth trying. That's a possibility. Which is now then the point about, how do I get off caffeine? What's the withdrawal from caffeine? Because every time I talk to people, well, I am a life coach. I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical advice. People sometimes hire me as a life coach. And yesterday, a friend from Israel visited me, and his mother has cancer. And he's on the way to see her in Israel, and he asked me, what should I tell her? What should I do? And the first thing, and I'm not a medical doctor, this is not a medical advice, it's my personal opinion, what I would do. The first thing I tell people who are seriously ill, the first thing they do to immediately stop the coffee. Immediately stop the coffee. That's the first thing you have to do. When you go cold turkey, you get off coffee, There are a lot of things which can happen. You can feel exhausted, weariness, circulatory problems, nausea, constipation, difficult concentrating, headache, of course. There are many, many possible symptoms. These are what can happen to you when you go on withdrawal. Now, no matter what unhealthy substance you want to get rid of, you want to withdraw from, it doesn't matter which substance, which bad habit you want to break. It should be targeted but controlled and not to be hasty. Go slow. Sudden withdrawal can cause very many severe mental and physical problems. Somebody who has been drinking caffeine for years, 10 years, 20, 30 years, it's got to be done very controlled and very slow on a certain gradient. The first step to withdrawal from coffee is to make a decision. You have to make a decision that you want to withdraw from coffee. And that decision includes that you say, I'm addicted. You must admit to yourself that you are addicted and that you need help and that you need to get out of this. If this is not your belief, I doubt that you will make it. You must have the strong belief, I got to get rid of it. I want to die healthy. I have a show on my webinars you can watch in the archive. The show is called I Want to Die Healthy. Yes, sounds strange, doesn't it? Fun. I Want to Die Healthy, watch it. So I suggest always the people to start this lupine cafe to drink. And the first step after you make a decision, I am addicted, drink no more coffee after 12 noon. Try. Then one step earlier at a time, maybe after a week or 2 weeks, you stop drinking coffee after 11 a.m. Then you go back 10, 9, whatever. Perhaps till you have one coffee only a day, which is the hardest to cut. You may want to bring in possibly someone to mentally support you and to help you through this, because you need help, support. It's not easy. It's the same difficult like a typical junkie. This is how I approach it. Now, it's hard in our society. If you look at this advertising we just shot at a Tampa fair, state fair, you can buy films and cameras, and of course you can buy coffee, and you can buy the Tylenol at the same time. Coffee and Tylenol works well together, I guess. That's what the message is. Now, I challenge the people who are watching now. I challenge the people and who say, well, I drink coffee, but I'm not addicted. Okay, let's make a test. You make for yourself a test. The way is very simple. Let's say for 4 weeks, you say, I'll drink no coffee for 4 weeks. I would predict that 98, 99% of the participants who say I can take the challenge don't last 4 weeks. Guaranteed. You cannot do it. It's too tough. Do a self-experiment and write me an email and tell me how long did you make it. I don't think you make it 4 weeks. Now, as we're coming close to the end of my webinar, getting very close to the end, let me tell you now my story about coffee. I was not drinking coffee for all my life. And I said okay, you got to drink coffee to confirm, to see how addictive it is. Because I keep telling people it's addictive. You're a drug addict if you drink coffee. So I said, I think it was the 2nd of July, 2 years ago. I said, okay, let me drink coffee from today on for 1 month, 30 days. For 30 days, I'll drink coffee, 1 month. Okay. So every morning on my way to work, to my office, I passed by a drive-in place and I bought a coffee and I started to drink. Now, frankly, at the beginning, it was very tough because I was not used to the taste. I was not used to the acidity in my stomach. I really felt, Jesus, you know. And as I mentioned before, I love the smell of fresh grinded coffee. So I drink every morning my cup of coffee. And the idea was, after 1 month, I got to stop. So comes August 2nd, the last day, I drove by and said, okay, last day today, that's it. Took the coffee, went to the office, drank it. Next day, the 30 days were up. Now, I must tell you that I worked with many addicted persons in my life to help them through addiction. And here's an example, for example, if somebody is alcoholic, how they function. If it's a beautiful day, sunshine, blue skies, the alcoholic will say, well, today is a beautiful day, and I must have a beautiful red wine to celebrate this beautiful day. Okay, good. Next day, it's raining cats and dogs. The same person says, today is such a shitty day. I need something tough here. And he drinks alcohol. And he has every time an excuse for himself and others why he drinks. That goes on all their lives. And if an alcoholic has really drunken a lot and is completely wasted, the next day he swears to God, and he means it, I will never drink again. He or she will really mean it. I will never drink again. They feel so belittled, they feel so, in their self-esteem, so down, almost suicidal, because they feel so ashamed they didn't make it, and they promised to themselves and to others. What typically happens, as I said before, with an addictive person, the addiction is so strong, stronger than your free will to say no. That's the sign of addiction, full stop. No discussion from my side. That's how I define it. All right. So I remembered that when the day after the 30 days were over, and I drove down the street, and I was about to pass my coffee place, what did I do? I pulled in, and I got another coffee and said, come on, that one day doesn't make a difference. And I bought the coffee. The next day, I said, come on, be more disciplined. That's it. The experiment is over. Well, the experiment wasn't over, because I wanted to find out, is coffee addictive? And it would only show if I stopped drinking coffee, not if I keep drinking coffee. So next day, I was strong. I passed by the coffee place. I didn't drink coffee. 2-3 days later, I pulled in. What the hell? Come on, don't be so stiff. Got another coffee. It took me 2 months to get out of this vicious circle. 2 months of strong discipline and fighting to get out of this vicious circle of drinking coffee. I made this self-test, right? Besides that, it took me 2 months to get out of this. In the time I drank coffee, I suffered, of course, because I never drank coffee and my body reacted naturally to the bad influence, which means I became jittery, more nervous. I had lots of acidic pain in my stomach, like it was biting me. And a few times I made a mistake to drink the coffee, not in the morning in the office, but later on the way home, right? On the way home from the office to home, which was like between 3 and 5. And when I did that, I couldn't sleep. My night was shot. I could not sleep. I was like right awake. I said to myself, no, you got to sleep now. You got to get some sleep. No. This feeling was stronger than my wish to get my sleep. It was terrible. So whatever people experience as side effects, of course, the blood pressure was higher. I sometimes measured my blood pressure. My oxygen level changed. So some basic testing I did were all not very good. My pH in my urine was low, means acidic. So I was happy when it was over. And I say now today, my summary, coffee is a drug, which makes you mentally and physically ill, like all drugs do. Cocaine, fentanyl, crack, and what have you. Same thing. The only difference is that these are more toxic, more expensive, and they kill you faster. That's the difference. But coffee is a drug. Now, are you a coffee drinker? Do you try to get off it? You cannot? Most likely you have problems. It's hard, I know. But from now on, you cannot look down on anybody who has an addiction, like drugs, alcohol, sweets, etc. You cannot look down and belittle them. You are the same. You are drug addicted. Full stop. Even if coffee is not forbidden by law and is in our society accepted, you're not better than a general drug addict. Even socially, coffee is fine. Coffee is the most widespread drug in the world. It's legal and completely accepted by the society. However, at this point, I must show an image which I keep showing over the time, over and over. Mankind is extinct because we believe that the laws of nature are not valid for us. That's what it is. Now, what is the solution? It's harsh but unfair. Letting go of all forms of drugs, hard drugs, in the proper sense, alcohol, sugar, medicine, coffee, and everything your mind body developed as addiction. Keep in mind, your mind and your body have developed addiction for you, which may be addictive for you, maybe not addictive for somebody else, but you have your own addiction. And only you can find out, what are my addictions? If you drink coffee, you're addicted, of course. Answer it for yourself, find a coach to help you. If you want to extend your lifetime spread, if you want to live healthier with less pain and less problems, you have to confront and accept that you're addicted and you want to get rid of it. Now, this all comes down to the level how we live. There's the sympathetic nervous system, and this sympathetic nervous system is the primary process to stimulate the body's fight or flight response. We talked about this. Adrenaline, fight or flight. We are all too much stressed. We live all under too much stress. We are all under the influences strongly of the sympathetic nervous system. On the right side, we have the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is responsible for the stimulation of rest and digest, of feed and breed. To be calm, relaxed, well-balanced, we have to make a transition from one system to the other. It's urgently needed, in most cases already overdue, and has to do with the change of your lifestyle and your mindset, your inner peace. You got to get away from the dominance and dependency of the sympathetic nervous system towards the life with priority on the other side. You need inner peace, you need mental stability, and you need to find out and agree what is really important in life. Health and love, and especially as well, to love yourself. Funny enough, people I work with, most of the people don't love themselves. What comes down to, they have been so much invalidated and belittled in their life since childhood that they don't love themselves. And you have to make a decision. Which lifestyle do you want to live? That's a clear decision you have to make. You can look at that, think about it the next days, and find out where are you, and do you want to make a change or not. With high priority is needed what is called meditation. And when I say meditation, I just don't mean only and necessarily the religious style of meditation. For me, meditation starts in the simplest thing, with more awareness. To eat slow and consciously, to observe, and to breathe correctly. Learn how to breathe. You may say, well, I'm breathing every day, otherwise I would be dead. Yes, but nobody taught us how to breathe properly. When you do a meditation course or a yoga course, the first thing they typically do is they teach you how to breathe. And suddenly you realize, well, that is different. It feels different. It makes me different. It's better. But nobody taught you how to breathe. You got to perceive and enjoy beautiful things and acknowledge them. I have this thing which I practice with my grandkids, my boys, every day, to tell at least one person you don't know you meet, a stranger, something nice about them. I like your haircut. I like your glasses. I like your shirt. You seem to be a very cool guy. What you do in life, tell me. I'm interested. Be open to others. And if we would give on this world 8 billion people every day a well-meant, honest compliment to a stranger without any expectations, just say something nice, the war would end. There would be no more war. Because we go to strangers and exchange beauty. The other day I was in an elevator in a hotel, and this black dude stepped in the elevator Saturday evening, and you could see he was dressed up for a great night entertainment. Charming guy, elderly, unusual dressed, nice, stylish. And I said to him, I haven't seen today a guy who is so cool dressed as you are. And the guy smiled and he was happy, and we started talking. We had a drink together in the bar in the hotel. And I meant it. And I teach my kids, say something nice to people which you mean. Spread the love. I know it sounds easy, but I know it's not. Many of us don't make the change from one side to the other. They cannot make it. They're too much stuck. We have already drifted for too many years too far from sanity and a conscious life. Wishful thinking doesn't work anymore. Hard work, very hard work only works. It's hard. I've noticed when I work with people who have cancer and who are looking the devil in his eyes, these were the people, the fastest of all, who changed and realized that life they were living was stupid. And they are willing to make a change. Really willing to make a change. Of course, threatened by the death. But they said, I gotta change. So these people set up the priorities to a complete new life and cut out the BS. And have all of a sudden said, what is really important? Do I have to get into stress because of this or that? No, it's not worth it. Not with me. And they're laughing about, once they've gone through this process, they laugh about people, how seriously these people take themselves and stupid situations. And these people were only longing for health and true love and feelings with others. Making money, being successful is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But if making money and being successful is the motivation for your life, you put yourself right under stress there. Because that's a measurement, that's a parameter which you'll never be satisfied with. There's always another million to be won and another company to be bought. True happiness, satisfaction, and health lies within yourself only. These are not shipped by Amazon to your doorsteps. Believe me. Happiness is in yourself or it's not there. Some money can make you happier, seems to be, but true happiness is in yourself, regardless what you have. Now, in all this world, bottom line is, coffee is a hurdle for your sane life. With coffee, you are addicted. And addiction means you are not yourself. You will never be fully yourself. Coffee is a drug, the widest spread drug in this world. And if you don't see this and the consequences which I try to explain, I can't help. That's all I have to say. That's my research, my opinion, my humble opinion. I'm not a doctor. I cannot give medical advice. People who I consult as a life coach, I'm going through this with them all the time. If you don't stop coffee, if you don't start to drink healthy water, truly healthy water, I've done webinars about this. If you don't stop to be under the influence of electromagnetic radiation, if you don't stop to be so acidic and have so much toxins in your body, you will never be happy and healthy. And coffee is, every time I meet people, the first question is, do you drink coffee? What drinks you typically drink? And are you willing to change? Drinking coffee means the likelihood to die is bigger. The likelihood to be health affected is much bigger. And you make a decision. And if you can't get away from it, I don't blame you. That's then the way it is. Thank you for attending my webinar. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.